Hi, I'm Shayna.
And I'm Tracey, and we are the creators of The Pump a Dump Show. We are moms, but we were women first. And in this podcast, we explore what it's like to be a woman who also happens to be a mom.
Before we were moms, we were women. Before we were moms, we were chilling. We were pumping and dumping. We're talking about something. This is the Pump a Dump Podcast.
Welcome back, breeders.
Hey, guys. What up?
Hello, hello. I hope you all,
Are having a lovely life.
I hope you're rubbing CBD all over your bodies
I just took a shower in CBD.
after last week.
Yeah.
Oh, well, welcome back. This week's episode is about money.
Yep. We're just going to talk about money.
It's been something that's been really prevalent in Tracey and my conversations recently because we both read You Are a Badass at Making Money by Jen Sincero. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with her badass books, but there's a lot of interesting stuff in it, and we can go into parts of it on another episode. But for the most part, I think what we found very interesting is dissecting your own relationship to money and changing your mindset about money. And it was really my aha moment with that book was really realizing the judgments that I have on my own ability to make money, on other people who make money, and really never thinking about my own history.
Yeah, I think, money, everyone has some sort of issue or relationship with money. Either you love it too much, you resent it.
You don't understand it.
You don't understand it. You don't want to understand it. It's scary to you. Did I already say you resent it? You,
do you resent it?
It's overwhelming. You don't think that you can ever have enough. There's never enough. Your relationship with money and your partner and your relationship with money and your upbringing and your parents.
Right.
And there's just no way around not having a psychological connection to money. It's not like a tuna sandwich, like it's a very complicated, which
I actually may have a psychological connection to tuna sandwiches.
Well, we actually, you know what, we both do. How many trips have we been on? It's like 8 a.m. and I'm like, all I want is a tuna sandwich.
It's absolutely true. There's something about the salty.
I know.
No, very, very true. And it was until her book that I actually never really stopped to think about my relationship to money based on my upbringing and what that meant. Because, we weren't for want. My parents actually paid for my undergrad. I know that does not happen for a lot of people, but that just kind of tells you we were, well off. And yet that doesn't mean that you don't have a relationship to money. I feel like it's just something I've always ignored because I always had a safety net. But it does not mean that I don't have a fucked up relationship with it now, like most people, because I'm an adult who rolls my eyes when I see someone on Facebook on their 5th vacation of the year. And why? Why am I rolling my eyes? Because what Jen Sincero is telling us to do is ultimately say, I can't wait till I can take 5 vacations.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all about the energy that you put out into the universe. And, but I also think you carry your own burdens, right? Like you and I were struggling actors for so long in our early adult years.
I've had every job under the sun.
Me too. Literally. And I've never not worked since I was 12 years old. I've never not had a job in my life. And I've also had times where like my husband and I in our early marriage didn't even have enough money to buy 2 tacos from Taco Bell for a meal. And that doesn't leave you easily. And so as you grow and you become more stable, those things haunt you in a certain way. But I think it's really interesting that her whole thing is that if you can say that you love money and that you're not afraid of money and that you understand that the universe, there's enough money out there for all of us. Certainly it's not just going to come and grow in a tree or just come sitting at your doorstep. You have to work for it, but you can have it. Yeah. And it's a fascinating mindset change.
Yeah, it really is. That's exactly what it is. It's a mindset change. And it's so funny. It's influenced me so much that like I'll find a quarter on the floor or, because my kids have no concept of money.
Sure.
I'll find change or something. And I've started picking up the change and being like, I love you, change.
Yeah.
And putting it into their piggy bank and just having positive thoughts about money. And somehow it's just made me happier and feel like abundance is waiting for me.
Yeah. And we, certainly as business owners, when we don't, as you guys know, we don't have a traditional kind of corporate job that is steady and consistent. So if you're an entrepreneur, money is also a very,
Or an artist.
yeah, someone who just doesn't have a traditional 9-to-5 job. It's an
Mhm.
elusive thing because it comes and it ebbs and flows, and it's not as concrete.
Dependable.
So you just view it differently.
And I learned from her book too, and this goes along with all the woo woo that we've been kind of
Mhm.
doing lately. In the sense, if we're all just vibrations, right,
Mhm.
and what you put out there comes back to you, then why wouldn't that apply financially as well? And so again, this doesn't mean like if you just start repeating "I love money" to yourself that you can go to Vegas and hit it big. But it does imply that if you work hard enough and you have this positive, I think for me, I actually learned about the book from fear because I was
Right.
having like a complete meltdown in the sense of fearing
Success.
success because Tracey and I are, we have some big things coming, and I just had all of this anxiety and fear that the money part was never going to show up. And my friend, who is a life coach for actually for real estate people, but was like pointed it out point blank. She was
Yeah.
just like, "You have fear of money, and I want you to read this book." And it really changed so much for us as a
Mhm.
company, for me as a person in my like personal life. I made my husband read it.
Yeah, we made both our husbands read
We
it.
sent it to our team right away. And it's been, I've been doing the exercises and really helping to understand what you want financially.
One thing that was interesting reading this book and actually asking myself like what my issues are, again going back to like struggling actress days, I realized why I'm all like, you probably don't even know this about me. I'm always angry if someone gives me a check that I have to cash. Like I'm like personally offended. And I realized it was because, I was 21, 22 years old, like struggling, living off of nothing in LA. And it was during the time when banks would just overdraft you into the thousands of dollars, like there was like no regulation. And it was just, and I was with, I don't even think is Bank of America even around anymore. They were the worst. And I have so many like memories of having to go into the bank because there's no online banking and like stand in line and talk to a person and have like an overdraft account and have to like beg to like release the fees or cash a check. And then they're like, well, that puts you now at negative $30, even though I'm putting money into my account. That I actually hate going to banks.
And you have like an emotional attachment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
well,
it just was an interesting, I just think we all have things like that. There's things that we just would rather ignore or not
right.
think about. Just
Anyway,
want everyone to have enough money.
it's true.
I do.
We highly recommend that book though. And
Yeah.
especially if you have any entrepreneurial focus in your life.
Yeah, I don't agree about the entrepreneurial thing because I think even if your job, I think people very much are limited in their scope of how they even think about their job and moving up or getting paid what they're worth. But
But there's an entrepreneurial mindset to it.
Yeah.
And I think that what the book doesn't address is the idea that for it really to work for you, you have to kind of have the entrepreneurial mindset. Because and this was Chris's point when he read the book. He was like, this book is perfect for people like you. But she really does talk about like being brave enough to go into debt, which is something interesting because our guest is kind of an anti-debt person.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that to Chris's point, one of the not negative points of the book, but something to be careful about the book is that you can't just read that book and be like, well, I put out great energy and I love money and she's
Where is
right.
it?
I want to start this company. And so I'm going to pay a coach $80,000, which is basically what she did in the book. I mean, you really have to have a mindset that like you have an idea and you're working really hard towards something.
But she also talks about like, applying for jobs that you're not necessarily qualified for on paper, but that you're absolutely capable of, in your heart. I mean, I think it's more having confidence in yourself to take a risk The debt risk is very
I mean,
interesting.
her,
but
her risks are huge in that
Sure.
book. Like,
Sure, but she gives great anecdotes from other people's stories and the way they've achieved,
bootstrapped it.
bootstrapped it, or just gotten to a place where they were comfortable and made the money that they wanted and gotten the job that they wanted.
Yeah.
And regardless, back to just our own view of it, I think we could all have money therapy, and it probably wouldn't hurt any human on the planet.
Well, and this whole kind of thing started. Remember, I was talking about the fear. We were on the phone with our director, Kristen Goodman, and we were talking about some money issues. And she was like, "You need to get in the flow, Shayna. Can you just say these words? Repeat after me. Say the words, 'I love money.'" And I was like, like I literally physically couldn't get it out of my throat. And I find that so interesting because after reading this book, I pick up a penny and I'm like, I love money.
I love money.
And how weird psychologically that I couldn't say something in front of like two of my best friends that I can certainly say now because of a mind shift. So that's kind of where we started this focus on changing our view on our relationship to something that's really very powerful.
Yeah. And not resenting others for having more than us, which is also really,
I mean,
I think
how
that's
interesting is that?
it is. It's really interesting. I think we can talk about the 1% all we want. And there's certainly issues in corporate America and very rich people not giving their share, blah, blah, blah. But, there's also so many rich people who are wonderful, lovely,
Philanthropists.
caring, giving people. And I think the knee jerk to just assume that because someone is rich, they're not a good person or that you shouldn't even be their friend, I think is doing a disservice to yourself because that's your energy that you're putting out into the world,
It's also interesting to think about from the book, like what you would do if you had a lot of money, right? Because it makes you really think about that.
Only good things.
And that's the truth. Like one of the questions is like, what are great things that have happened in this world because of money? And you have to make that list, which makes you have to think about the positives and, outside of like art and
oh gosh, all the things,
all of and medical research and
Yeah.
all of these amazing things. Then you have to think about your own life, right? And it's true. Like it's so weird. I just never realized that this was one of my like number one things. But I would just love, like when I think of the idea of getting something for somebody as a gift, I just want to be able to do it. Like when I'm like, oh my God, Kate would love this, just for it to show up at her house the next day. Now, how is that negative?
No, yeah.
Like
Or
there's
just
something
like,
so
oh,
positive.
I see this and I just want to write a $20,000 check to this charity. I love them so much. Everything they're doing is so amazing. I just want to write it and move on with my life. Like,
right. And they're helping so many people and there's so
Yeah.
many good things. So by putting that want out there, by thinking of money in a different way, not as something that you can achieve and not something that you can't.
yeah. And
kinda
just all
changes
the,
your day.
and if you really think about all the things that you want to do with it, so many people want to take care of their parents or, even pay off student loans because you went to school and worked your butt off at school. And just, it's very, I think the smaller majority of people is like, I want a 80-foot yacht and I want to buy a bunch of blow. Like, I don't think like that's what people think of when they want to get rich. I want to hold down, a citizenry of people and be their ruler. Like, I just don't think that that's how people really view getting
Right.
rich in general. I think people are much kinder than we give them credit for.
Sure. And there should be no guilt in wanting to spend your money on nice things for your family.
Yeah, isn't that all we do?
Or face injections.
Or
One
essential
day.
oils.
One day.
That's for my family, right?
we will be better people
We
for
will.
all of that.
Yeah.
So our guest today, Newell Jones, she wrote this book. When I heard what the book was called, which is The Spending Fast, I was like, oh, spending fast, I'm into it. And then I realized, no, spending, it's a
Like a
fast.
Yeah. You're not spending it fastly. You're fasting from spending.
And then I had like a panic attack
Sure.
because
That sounds like a terrible
sounds
idea.
really stressful.
Yeah. I did it for 1 month this year, remember, in January?
I don't remember.
I did. I told myself nothing new. I didn't buy anything new for 1 month. Mostly from a zero waste perspective, like just to see, because you don't realize how much freaking trash you create when you just buy shit all day long.
Right.
But I realized when I wanted something, I'm like, I can't buy it until February. I didn't want it anymore. By February, I'd already forgotten what that thing was.
Oh.
It's fascinating. I can't imagine doing it. I mean, she did it for 15 months and got herself out of $24,000 in debt.
But she's got a lot of really good tips. And I really like that she kind of talks about making it customizable for you. So what can seem intimidating actually can work for each person individually and kind of like what they can handle doing, which
doesn't mean everyone's just drinking water and ramen noodles for 15 months.
yeah, I think prioritizing and making lists of what are important is actually super helpful. So let's hear what she has to say. This week's episode is brought to you by Sarah O Jewelry. We've talked about Sarah O a lot. In fact, she was on our Birthing a Business episode here on this podcast. Sarah O is a Denver-based fine jewelry company with a storefront location on Tennyson Street in Northwest Denver, and she's opening a new location in the renowned Dairy Block in downtown Denver. They have gorgeous gemstones, rough-cut diamonds, and do amazing custom pieces. If you don't follow them on Instagram, you absolutely should. Her stuff is stunning and all ethically sourced, and you can shop online at saraojewelry.com. We're big fans. I feel like going through her Instagram is like window shopping. It's amazing. And she's also the presenting sponsor for this year's Mother's Day Eve show.
We got a special guest. Special guest.
Our guest today is Anna Newell Jones. She is the author of The Spender's Guide to Debt-Free Living, How a Spending Fast Helped Me Get from Broke to Badass in Record Time. Anna eliminated just shy of $24,000 in debt in 15 months on a clerk salary. She's been seen on Good Morning America, Oprah Magazine, Glamour, People Magazine, The Huff Post, Refinery 29. And through her Spending Fast Bootcamp and Spending Fasters community and her website and thenwesave.com, she's all about helping others to see that they're not alone and that there is a massive hope out of debt. She's also a mom of a 5.5-year-old boy, lives here in Denver with us. Anna, welcome
Thank
to
you
the
for
Pump It Up
having me.
podcast.
Thanks.
Anna, I got to be honest, whenever I hear spending fast,
Mhm.
like when I was looking at your website or
Yeah.
just reading about you when we found you, I
Hot sweats.
hot sweats. Like
Oh, yeah.
So like that, like it's like
I get hot sweats.
you do.
Yeah, I'm like, this sounds terrible.
Well, yeah,
And it is.
It's like when my husband says, we really need to budget more. I'm just like, oh god, oh god.
Oh, yeah.
Because truthfully, I don't feel like I'm a big spender. Like
Mhm.
I feel like there's so many things in this world that I would love to spend on and
Yeah.
don't. I feel like
Yeah, you're good.
yeah, and then it's like, really, I work so hard. You're gonna
Yeah.
tell me that I can't spend money.
Yeah, exactly.
So for everyone having a similar reaction to me, maybe it's just me.
So if I just keep saying spend fast over and over and just make everyone like log off from
I
the
just leave.
podcast.
I
spend
just
Yeah,
leave.
spend
it's like,
fast.
this is the record lowest downloads we've ever had. Thanks, Anna.
Guess what, everyone? Don't spend any money.
Thanks. This is super fun. Bye.
We're a bunch of like miserable moms. You
I
have to help
know.
us.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So tell us, you were $24,000 in debt. What was your aha come to Jesus moment that led you to do this crazy spend fast, like on your own, no instruction? You just like literally rolled up your sleeves and just got to town.
Yeah.
How?
So what I had noticed was that I would have conversations with my mom and I was not telling her about the reality of my life and what I was
Mm.
doing. I was like, oh, I just don't need to like tell her I went on that trip or I'm doing these other things because I owed her so much money. And so just realizing like it was kind of like a ticking time bomb. And then
Mhm.
I ended up it was on a flight going back to visit my family for Christmas, and I ended up just finally having a chance to just breathe. And I had no idea at that point that that this would happen on this flight, but I just was so desperate that I really feel like I hit my financial
Mhm.
bottom. I was like, I have no idea what this is going to look like, but I just have to try to get out of this credit card debt. Like it was like weighing on me so heavy and like affecting my decisions and my
Mhm.
relationships. I was like lying by omission, without telling my mom things and my parents things. And so I just got to this point where I was just done with feeling like crap about myself. And I was like, I don't know what this is going to look like, but I have to try something. Like
And it
I'm
was
just
mainly
desperate
credit
enough.
card.
It was credit card debt, and then like an overdraft account, and then I owed my parents money for like school loans they took out for me.
And were
Yeah.
you overspending because you wanted to? Were you just trying to get by and just struggling with your salary versus cost of living, or what? What kind of got you to that point?
I worked hard and I wanted to enjoy my life, and I'm like, I will always have this debt. I might as well enjoy myself. And it's like this is just a fact of my life. Excuse me. It's just a fact of my life. I'm going to die with this debt. I definitely will always have my student loans. So I might as well just enjoy myself. And so it got to a point where I was just like, I wasn't making enough money, but I was also overspending and I just wasn't being responsible and I didn't want to be.
You were just kind of in denial.
Yeah. Like I would, when I did pay attention to it, like it was so depressing. That
Well,
I
and
was
it gets to a
like,
point where you're just like, well, this exactly. Like, I think I'm
Like,
going to die with this debt is a great analogy. Like, you're just like, well, what's the point? It's always
Yeah.
going to be there. It's never going to go down.
Yeah.
So why even?
To that point, my husband, we took on so much student loan debt when he went to law school.
Mhm.
But if he died, it would be gone. So I'm publicly declaring that I'm planning his murder.
That's a really
So-
great get out of the debt plan.
But also a terrible idea to announce it on a podcast. I'm
Oh,
pretty
shit.
sure they'll
Yeah.
figure out. But we'll make a true crime podcast out of it.
Yeah,
So there you
exactly.
go.
She was on this
Yeah.
podcast and she declared that she would murder her husband.
Here's the clip.
Watch Chris go missing today.
I mean,
It's like the most
ew.
horrible thing to
That
happen.
sounds so dark.
I'm sorry. Sorry, Anna.
That took a turn.
I did.
Okay, so then you just decided. So you decided that you were just going to stop spending money.
Yeah.
So explain
Exactly.
Explain your whole thing.
That
What is
sounds-
the spending fast?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's bare bones living. It does sound
Gross.
totally horrible, right? Yeah, like everybody I told this to, they're like, why? No, budget, do something else. And I had tried budgeting,
Mhm.
I had tried all the things, and I was like, okay, I know myself. I know I'm like an all in person. And I'm
Mm.
like, let's just make it as easy as I can. I'm like, I cannot do budgets. I think they are horribly tedious. So I'm like, let's just say, okay, I can spend money on these things and not on these things.
Mm.
And just make it cut and dry.
For example,
Rent, A-okay.
definitely pay the rent.
Groceries, can do.
okay.
And then like different things, like I realized I had been spending a ton of money on linens. Like what? Why?
Sure.
Lots of stationery, like a lot of Chipotle burritos, like things that like might be a problem area. Somehow I can't pay
Which
my
actually,
mom.
if you stop Chipotle burritos, then it actually saves you money on toilet paper.
Yeah,
Good point.
very good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, toilet paper savings right there.
Yeah, exactly. So how long did it take you to so did you wipe all your debt clean,
Yes.
every last penny?
Every last penny.
And then what did you do? Did you rack up your credit card again?
No. No.
You're like, it's clear. Look at all this money I
That's
have.
me. That's exactly what I would do.
Shopping.
Let's go celebrate in Bali.
Yeah.
Yeah. No? Okay.
No. And so like I had been dreaming about like, oh, these boots and like all these things I was gonna buy when I didn't have the spending fast and all this fun I was gonna have. And I realized that, and studies even show that the anticipation of wanting to buy something is way more enjoyable than actually having it. So like in between, so the first year I did it, it was in 2010, and that was when I did the spending fast. And then I did the spending diet the second year. And so in between those two is when I decided I would like splurge on this pair of boots that I had been dreaming of.
Mm-hmm.
I got them. I was like, yes, this is going to be amazing. And they were so noisy. I was like, this is horrible.
Noisy boot.
Yeah. I'm
Did
like,
you take them
"What's-"
back?
Oh yeah, I had to. I was
Oh.
like, this sucks. And so it just like was like the perfect example of like how I had been dreaming of them. And I'm like, these boots are going to be amazing. They're going to go with everything. And then I end up getting them and I'm like, yeah, like buzz, kill boots. Like, come on.
Let's kill boots.
Wait, so you're spending fast, and what your book is
Yeah.
mainly about is kind of just deciding what's necessary and then also what's unnecessary.
Yeah,
And really
totally.
just hammering it down. Is that on a timeline?
Yeah, so that's a total like nutshell version. There's all details on how to do it exactly the way I did and stuff. I did it for a year and I recommend a year, but seriously, even doing it for a weekend, there's like no buy challenges and like spending fast or spending freezes or no spend days, like anything you can do to just kind of like
Make a game out of it.
yeah, seriously. And like that's exactly what I have found is that if you feel like, oh, this is kind of fun and I'm like a rebel by doing this, then it's like, I don't know, there's a different kind of mentality. It's not like, I have to do a budget. Like someone's forcing me. My husband doesn't want me to spend. It's like, I'm choosing to do this because I want to have a different kind of life. Like it totally shifts your mindset.
No, it's true. Because on Mondays, I will not go to the grocery store no matter what, unless it's like dire.
That's because you go to the grocery store every other day of the week.
As someone who goes to the grocery store every.
I know.
But I do. But so I'm like, I'm not buying. We're eating out of the house. Like we have to, and it does help, and it helps you realize what you have in your house that you don't need to buy, which is good.
Yeah, totally.
So you did this, you got that, and then you just decided this is your calling in life. I mean, then
that's
you wrote
kind
a
of
book.
what happened.
Okay,
yeah, actually.
Well, and something you just said, I kind of logged on to. That's oh my god, we live in a digital world. I just logged on to a human. Something that you just said about your husband or a husband saying don't spend. So most of your clients are women?
Yes.
And explain.
Yeah. So most of in our community, there's a Spending Fasters group, spendingfastersgroup.com, if anybody wants support. And so it's primarily women. There are some men in there, but women are attracted to me. And so that's kind of who I speak to. And I'm really all about helping women with having financial autonomy because I grew up seeing women not have financial autonomy and they lost their voice in that process. And so that's something that I'm super, super passionate about and really am focused on empowering women in that way.
So do you think all debt is bad?
I think generally speaking, yes, I think it holds weight for myself and what I've seen is that it ends up, especially like consumer debt. It's like it has a hold on you. It like gets a say in your decisions. It affects how you live your life, and anything that is kind of pulling you in a direction that you don't want to be going in. I don't personally like for myself, and I am not supportive of debt that makes you feel not empowered. If it's like a real estate investment and you're like, okay, I've done all the research, I've done the numbers, this makes sense, this is an up and coming neighborhood, whatever it is,
becomes an asset.
Yeah, it has to be an asset for it to be something that makes sense. Something really interesting is I did a speaking gig in at a conference in Budapest, and they had me on a panel with all these people that were all about debt. And I was like, what?
Oh, wow.
It was crazy.
And then you.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, we have very different points of view on this. And they were coming from the point of view of businesses having debt.
Sure.
And I'm like, well, that's a little different. But I still, whenever I, excuse me, with my businesses, I still try to do debt-free businesses and, put money back in. And so it is very interesting, the idea of good debt versus bad debt. I mean, I feel like mortgages, generally speaking, are good, especially like investment properties and things like that. And I feel like in our society, like student debt is unavoidable.
Yeah.
It's set up. It's just set up that way.
It's part of your life. You
Our
just have to like
lifetime.
grow up
Yeah.
to expect it.
Yeah. And that's a shame, right?
It's interesting. I had lunch with a friend recently who is a family practice attorney. So basically she handles a ton of divorces. And we were just talking about finances and money and things like that and student loan debt, et cetera. And she said, that she's done so many divorces over the years and that it's just hard to realize like everyone's in debt.
Yeah.
And they don't necessarily talk about it, but there's so much credit card debt.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
so many there's so many families. She's like, you wouldn't believe the things that I read or see on these people's statements. It's unbelievable. And you think that they're just living these
Super
normal,
responsible.
Oh yeah. And they're so not. And
Yeah.
it's just from the amount of money that their daughters are spending on clothes at the mall to personal beauty care and all these things that women are really
that we can't afford, actually.
Why are we doing that as women?
So in a lot of ways, just talking about it and bringing it to light and showing people that there is a way to get out of debt super fast. There's hope. Is just empowering. And I feel like a lot of people don't, since it's not talked about, it's so filled with shame. And so once you say, like, I was there too, here's my situation, like, here's what I did, and like, I found a way out and you can do it too. Like, people feel very empowered by knowing there's even
there's a
just
way
a
out.
sliver of hope.
Let's go back to this spending fast and talk about that. So if you're a family and
Mhm.
you find yourself at a place where you just can't, the credit cards, the interest, you're just in that cycle that we've all been in
Yeah.
at some point in our lives. What are some initial steps that you recommend? Like, what is a
Yeah.
spending fast? You said
Mhm.
cut down what's like what you can pay the rent, pay the mortgage,
Mhm.
but even groceries. I mean, does that mean I can still buy brie, or am I not buying brie anymore? You know,
To buy brie or not to buy brie?
do you
That
do you
is the
need brie? I mean, can Shay buy her Borson or not?
Well,
Yeah.
Like,
Borson
that's-
is like $4.
I know.
You can get 2 for $6.
Is that a type of
Is brie
cheese?
is brie more expensive than Borson?
Well, is any of it? I mean, that adds up. All I'm saying. Like,
Sure.
it's
Yeah.
not. So, what are some things
It
that
adds
you
up
that
in fat and calories in my ass.
what are some like initial cuts you're just like, get them out of here?
Well, so our community has paid off over 5 million in debt just since I started keeping track, and I think the reason it's been so successful and resonating with people is because it's based on each person's priorities in their life. So if you want that cheese, or that's a cheese, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry, you don't know what Borson is?
I don't. I need to go
It's
get
another
some.
podcast.
Yeah.
Okay, I need to get some.
It's delicious.
But so like doggy daycares or like kids activities is something that comes up a lot in our
Mhm.
group. Like put that on. So my whole structure is a wants and needs list, like rather than doing a budget, because I think they're terribly tedious. So it's like, okay, put the wants. I started with the obvious. I'm like, okay, I obviously need rent and food and utilities and my cell phone bill, like those easy ones.
Mhm.
And then the ones that are kind of questionable, I put down on like a little section over here. And then I went through and decided, like, is this truly something that I want to delay my getting out of debt process? And okay, I do want to have hair dye on there, or get my hair colored or whatever. So that goes on the wants. So it's really based on like your priorities in life, which I think lends itself to people sticking to it, because if people aren't like gonna stay with it, then they're not gonna succeed at all. So I think it's really about simplifying it and just saying, like, yes, this is on the want side, this is on the need side, and I can spend on the need side, and just keeping it super, super, super simple.
Well, and just doing that work alone is so helpful. I mean, Tracey and I talk about this too, like with some of the books that we read or woo-woo things that we do. It's like, if you can read about it all you want and think about it all you want, but if you can really just like make lists and actually do the physical work of like taking the idea in your head
Yeah.
and putting pen to paper, what a difference.
Yeah.
I mean, so that
There's
makes
a lot
of
of power
sense.
in that.
Yeah.
But then I think, I'm thinking, gosh, I really wish I didn't have to spend so much money on summer camp for my kid, but in June we're still really working.
Mhm.
Um, and it's a big expense for that month or just in general, but I of course I could work it out. I feel like there's a lot of gray area when it comes to kids.
Yeah.
And a want and a need are very blurred in my eyes, because kids, they don't need jack, frankly.
Yeah.
Yet all we do is think about our freaking kids.
Yeah.
So how do you, I mean, a spending fast just seems so bare bones.
Yeah, it is, but it doesn't have to be. So that's the thing. It's so customizable. Like in my book, I just talk about like how I do it. And then I really want people to say, okay, this is how I want to customize it to work for me. Because like I said, like if people aren't feeling like empowered, or if they're feeling like, oh man, this sucks, like
It's torture.
Yeah, like they're not
Mhm.
going to stick with it. Who would do that?
Mhm.
So it's like you have to want what's on the other side more than you want what's right in front of you, like that day-to-day decision. And I really think, I mean, the kid thing comes up all the time in our group, and I always am like, and I have a son myself, so it's like something I deal with too, like not wanting to get into debt again. And so it's like, how do we get them involved, because kids are also not being taught about financial literacy at all. Like, talk
Mhm.
about a totally other podcast episode. I mean, that in and of itself is a huge issue. So presenting it in a way of like, this is what we're doing. We're going to make a game out of it. It's going to be fun. It's a challenge. Like, where do you think we can cut back? Like, how can we do what we want to do without spending any money? Or how can we do it with being super cheap? And I think it's also really important to just like, talk to them about finances in a kid-friendly way. Obviously, it's age dependent, but like without the parentification of like,
Mhm.
here, this is your problem, but like, here, this is the reality of it. And this is, if our goal is to set kids up to be independent adults, that
They have to know how much
Uh,
things cost.
I mean,
Yeah.
they suck right now. It is like, it is seriously like, oh yeah, mom, I want to get this book from the book fair. It's only $17.
I know,
I'm
I
like,
know.
only $17,
Yeah.
you little jerk.
Yeah, but then we did that this summer, and then I just started making her work for $17,
Yeah.
and it
Mhm.
got real fast.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden, she didn't want to buy anything.
Yeah.
She didn't want to do the work,
Yeah.
which fine with me, I guess. I mean,
I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Also, my son right now is committed to the idea that Santa Claus is going to bring him $1 million.
oh,
oh,
I like
that's
this Santa
genius.
Claus.
I mean, and then I'm kind of like, he doesn't bring kids money.
You're like, guess what? There's no Santa Claus.
Yeah, I'm all, here's the day you learn. Also,
Girl.
you're part Jew. Go with that. Go with that part.
That's never coming.
Yeah. Gosh, that's difficult. And no
Mhm.
matter how much we try to explain or we do chore charts, or Tracey had some genius, your daughter picks up like dog poop for like $2.
Yeah.
Well,
Like,
yeah,
it's
that
great.
happened this summer because we had to, at the pool, there's that damn snack
Ugh.
bar,
Oh, yeah.
which will A, kill them just in sugar and salt,
Yeah.
and B, bleed you dry
Yeah.
in cash.
Ugh.
And it was so out of control. I was like, here's the deal. You can buy whatever you want when we
Mhm.
go to the pool
Mhm.
with your own money.
Yeah.
So here's the chores.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
$2. You get, if you clean the bathroom, it's $2. If you pick
Yeah.
up dog poop, it's, $2.50. I made it low,
Yeah.
but then she had money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I was like, the best thing was that I could stop saying no to her.
Yeah.
Because it was like, we both understood the game. And then
Mhm.
I just didn't sound like a jerk all the time.
Yeah.
I was a jerk when I was like, go pick up poop, but that's on her. She didn't have to.
It's like, well, you chose
She's
not
just
to.
not getting a popsicle next time we go to the pool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's a great example of like how you can like teach your kids to like, here's the
Have
reality
an
of
understanding.
Yeah.
So how do you think, I think about this a lot. I feel like we're all in a way living beyond our means because it's just so expensive.
You mean in Colorado?
Well,
Sure.
sure.
Denver?
Just cell phones alone. Like just our freaking cell phone bill is, and we're so reliant on it. I mean, I can justify it because I work for myself. We have our
Mhm.
own business and my cell phone is my adjacent computer.
Mhm.
But do you feel like just the cost of living, exceeds what's realistic to even cut ties? Like, what are the big things people are cutting back on?
Well, I mean, that's something that with the wants and needs list, it's like, okay, let's break these things out into these categories. And something else I didn't mention is that the reverse budget, which I also talk about in the book, it's something that I hear about as one of the most enlightening pieces of how to really cut back on things, because it reveals hidden pockets of
What's
like
that?
Yeah. What is the
money
reverse
getting
budget?
sucked out.
Yeah.
Sounds like a sweet move.
Yeah, it is a sweet move. So it's like, it's just like you think about like a traditional budget. Like I hate traditional budgets. But what you do is you pull all of your statements, and this is
You lost me.
Yeah. Good night, everybody.
3 months worth of statements.
Okay.
You're like, that's not much better. But okay.
Mine's like snarfs.
I know.
snarfs.
Oh my gosh, the Italian there.
Oh, is that your favorite?
Yes. It's so good.
Snarfs is so good.
Okay.
Okay, so
Sorry.
go 3 months of statements.
Yes. Pull 3 months of statements, and then you just go line by line, and it's meant to be kind of painful. To
Yeah.
be like, okay, here's snarfs again. Okay, that goes in food, eating out. And then if you start noticing like, oh my gosh, snarfs again. And I noticed like Chipotle again, I'm like, whoa, this is a problem area. And then you just add up all those columns just like you would a traditional budget, and then you average it out, and you're like, oh my gosh, I spent $5,000 on these
Snarfs.
sandwiches. Like this might be a problem area. But what happens is people realize that they have money that they did not think they had. Like they're like, oh, of course I'd pay my debt off if I had more money. Like that's what the number one thing I hear. And I'm like,
Right.
have you done your reverse budget? Because if you haven't, you might have more money than you think. You might not.
So basically, Starbucks is the bane of everyone's existence.
Yes, it might be.
And Chipotle, apparently.
Yeah. And linens and stationery and all these winter
I'm
coats.
still like
Oh,
blown
man.
away that the idea that you were just buying linens.
Oh, I'm not.
Without any
Oh,
money.
girl,
Oh, I
I'm with
love
you.
it.
If you saw
Oh.
I've never seen a tablecloth I didn't like.
Oh, yeah.
I've never seen a tablecloth.
But I don't need it scarves.
Oh,
It's
so
cool.
there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's another point. It's like it's a trade-off. So what starts happening is you realize like, oh, maybe I can cut back on snarfs or I can cut back on like all these linens and then my kid can do the summer camp or like we can do these other things. It's a trade-off rather than outright elimination. It's like I'm now choosing where my money's going rather than my money just willy-nilly going out the door.
Just flying away.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's one of the things like Target, it's so like mindless spending. Like that's
Ugh.
one of the number one problem areas for people. And
Target.
Amazon, it's like, oh my word.
Amazon's rough. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a ton of tips for that if you
Tell
want.
us.
Okay, so remove the darn app from your phone.
No, Anna.
You lost
You're
her.
like, okay.
What am I going to do on a plane?
I'm sorry. This is a woman who ordered an eye mask to our hotel in.
Oh, wow.
Where were we? In
I don't know,
DC. She was like, I forgot my eye mask, so I'm gonna prime it.
I need to sleep,
I,
man.
I understand.
I totally get that. I totally would do that too.
And then you're like, why didn't you get me one?
Oh. Well, if you were already online.
Yeah. We're getting eye masks delivered.
Wait. Okay. So I'm sorry. What is
Okay,
so take
It
it
never
off your
showed up,
app.
by the way.
Take-
Don't prime anything
yeah,
to a
that's
hotel
right.
in a major city. It was
Oh.
a giant disaster.
It was
Oh,
a
no.
disaster.
Yeah. Anyway, okay. So remove the app
Noted.
from your phone.
Yes. Put my book in your cart so you
Oh.
see it.
Oh.
And it's
Girl.
like, Anna said no.
Yeah, that's
Oh.
smart.
Yeah, someone from our Spending Festers group said
Keeps-
that one. And
keeps
I'm
your
like,
book
yes.
in your cart.
It's actually
And it's
really
like-
smart.
It's super
I'm
smart.
like,
I love it.
that's amazing.
Along
That's
with a
amazing.
book titled like, Why Do You Hate Yourself or
Yeah.
something?
Yeah, cut it out.
Yeah.
I'm like, here people think that like when my book first came out, they're like, I always think, what would Anna do? And I'm like, I'm
Aw.
literally like, you do you. Like,
Yeah.
you do what you feel you need to do at this moment to like
And you will help
be your
along.
best self.
Yeah.
And like, I will meet you where you're at. Like, come
Mhm.
as you are, and like, we will support you wherever you're at. But like, if you want to be better, if you want to change your weights, I can help you with that too.
All right,
Yeah,
that's
that's
delightful.
goals.
Okay, so keep going. So take off the
Okay,
app,
yeah,
put the book in the
yes,
cart.
Yes, I guess I tried. You're like,
That's great, Anna. Tell me what to do
reel
about
it back
Amazon.
in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what was it? Take the app off your phone. Do one order a month.
Ew.
So, and this is all I know.
No, I just think that'd be a big ass order.
Yeah.
Well, but you probably save because you're not just.
It's so impulse.
In
and it's
instant
like-
gratification.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's just changing those automatic patterns. It's like, okay, I'm going to just keep a running list of all the things I think I need to be buying on Amazon in the notes section of my phone. This is one
Yeah.
of the things I did. Like, Amazon is like a number one problem for me too. Like, I am at heart a spender. Like,
I have to tell you, I was in the car and I was telling Siri like to add to my Target list. And I was like, add this to the list. And she was like, what do you want the list to be called? And I was like, Target. And she goes, which Target list? And I swear to fucking God, there were like 14 Target lists in my phone that came up. And I was like,
funny.
oh, that's
Sorry.
my life right there.
Girl, we've been down this road before.
I'm at Target 372. It was awesome.
That's
A
so
total
funny.
like
Oh.
realization
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
That and my husband was telling me they did a thing at his work about like security and protection, and he said that you can pull up your phone and if you go in like this folder and this folder and this folder, you can actually your phone like tracks where you've been. And so he's
Oh.
showing me in my phone, and he's like
Snarfs and
Edgewater.
Target.
It's like Edgewater, 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 and I was like, oh, that's
Target.
Target.
Uh,
Caught me.
Oh,
Busted.
yeah.
Guilty
Guilty.
as charged.
Yeah.
Okay,
so,
sorry.
Yeah, and so I know it's funny because I think it was in DC, we read a effed up card that because I know a lot of people just put stuff in their shopping
Yeah.
cart and then for the big buy. Do you suggest not doing that? Because the card was
yeah.
that the kid accidentally bought everything that was in the cart.
Oh.
And,
Yeah.
it's kind of like a wish list, but it's dangerous because it's
Yeah.
one click away of being purchased.
Yeah, I personally don't like that method for myself just because it's too tempting. I'm like, if I have a moment of weakness, I'm like, I might as well treat myself. Like, you do it. You're amazing. Let's purchase.
So make the list
Bye.
on Siri.
Yeah,
and
so
then-
Siri or like the notes section or whatever works for you, just make it easy. And then I just have a running list. And then once a month, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do my order. And I find that by eliminating those impulse purchases, like I'm saving so much. And then most of the stuff that I had put on the list, I'm like, oh,
You don't actually need.
I really do not need an electric lint remover. Like,
Yeah.
what the heck? What?
Yeah.
Like, because I had all these like random gadgets.
Mm.
Like, really?
Interesting. Uh-huh.
Any other like major? Do you have any Target tips?
Yeah,
for Shayna.
Yeah, actually. Okay, and
Don't
so
walk around with the cart because you can't put a big stuff in your little
I
thing.
That's a
I just
really
made
good-
that up.
that's a really
That's
good one.
smart.
Thank you.
That's a thing. Yeah, that's a
It's a
really,
thing?
really, yeah, like doing in little carts because like just mentally,
the
if you,
basket.
if you have a big cart, like is it Costco that has
Yeah.
the humongous carts? It's like people throw tons of stuff in it, and like even if you buy like a humongous thing of bread or milk or whatever, it's like just mentally it triggers like I have all this stuff, I might as well just use it.
There's space in my cart.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Sure.
exactly. And it's like, let's fill it up. I've got space. I've got room. And it's like if you put a limit on your cart just by like the hand
Yeah.
buggy. What do you call them? I don't know.
Just a basket.
Yeah, just a basket.
Just a
Yeah.
basket.
Yeah.
The hand buggy. Now, from now on, they will be called a hand buggy.
That's so turn of the century.
I love
Yeah.
it.
No,
I'm gonna take my hand
I
bucket to
got my
Target.
hand buggy.
Come on, Seamus.
That was the first thing that came to my mind.
I'm into it. Oh, that's a good.
As you're at Target, you're gonna be thinking about the spending fast lady and your hand buggy.
Right. Well, I also have a debate constantly about like Instacart and the online ordering
Mhm.
stuff because
Mhm.
I feel like we save money as a family when we do it.
I do too.
Because when my husband is let loose in Costco,
Mm-hmm.
it can. I'm like,
It's
how many
costly.
pairs of those nasty ass shorts are you gonna buy? I'm like, please do not buy another pair of Costco shorts.
Shorts.
You are not 70.
That's so funny.
But it just you stop. When you have to order it online,
Yeah.
even though there's a delivery fee, or you can do the
Mhm.
monthly subscriptions if you actually like commit, which
Yeah.
of course I never do, but that would save me money. You have your list of things that you need, and that's all you do. And you're
Because it
not
takes too long to find it all. So
Yeah.
there's no like going down an aisle and seeing
Yeah.
something shiny and
Mhm.
new.
or tasting a thing from the having your lunch there basically
Yeah.
and being like, oh, I really love this Blue Moose cheese dip.
No, I agree. I'm constantly
It's
shocked.
$14.
Yeah, I'm constantly shocked at like how little I spend when I get my groceries
Mhm.
delivered, and I always feel guilty about doing it. Like somehow I'm failing as a
Yeah.
woman.
yeah,
'Cause
and
I'm
I
not-
feel like
I feel
Chris hates
guilty
it.
too.
I know, but why?
Yeah.
But I'm
It's
always
so
like, oh, that
amazing.
was $55 when usually it's like 110 every time I
Yeah.
go to the grocery
And
store.
an hour of your life that
Yeah.
you can be doing something else.
Yeah,
Making that money.
Making the
that
money.
cheddar.
Yeah, I mean, if you have not heard of Instacart,
or Prime Now,
or Prime
which-
Now, and we are not sponsored by either of these
No.
places, although we could be.
not
Um,
gonna
not
deny
gonna
it.
turn it down.
Instacart.
I mean, just please, like, you got to check it out
Yeah.
because for moms, especially, like, gosh, whenever I've been stuck home with sick kids,
Mhm.
Or you're sick.
and I always apologize when they come up. It's like, I have sick kids, like as if
Yeah.
like
Oh
I
really?
should be
I just leave a
ashamed.
note. I'm like, leave it outside. There's
Oh.
sick people. Ring the doorbell. Like every time. It's like a permanent note. Like don't even bother coming in.
Oh, that's hysterical.
Yeah,
I
just-
could do that to stop myself from the shame.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Just tell them to leave it and go.
Yeah.
you can like hobble out there later, like with your
Yeah.
crutch. Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, that's a good tip.
Yeah, I
But
love Instacart.
think-
Yeah.
Wow. Well, Anna, thank you so much
Yeah,
for
thank
all of
you.
your
Yeah.
great advice.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And then we saved.com is
Yep.
Anna's site, and there's online courses.
There's a Spending Fast Bootcamp. There's there was one question we had talked about before the show about like how women can make money from home or men
Oh,
if they're
yeah.
stay-at-home parents. I have a side gig master list that I'm thinking your
Oh.
audience might really like. There's over 195 ways to make money.
As a side gig?
Yeah, different side gigs. I mean, there's some random stuff on there like selling your underwear, which, just skip over that one.
I'm sorry, like dirty underwear?
No. Well, yeah. There's like
Like in
all-
Orange is the New Black when they sold like
Yeah.
dirty underwear?
Yeah, like these are very creative ideas.
I'm into it.
Who's
Mystery shopping, like being a baker. Like there's a Cottage Food Act in Denver that you can like become a baker. Like so many different things.
Catherine,
that
this is for
totally
you.
threw
This is
you
very
off.
exciting.
The
I'm
underwear thing.
Why?
She's like, she just
Well,
her face was like,
I know. You're like, wait a minute.
I'll tell you why, because this is my budget. If you only buy underwear every 6 years, then you're not really
Sure.
spending a lot on it, and ain't nobody gonna buy
Also,
my
nobody's
underwear.
buying my underwear.
No one is buying my underwear.
Wow, these are
I put a pair of
attractive.
underwear on the other day, and I'm like, I hope it lasts through the day. That's
Oh,
how threadbare it
wow.
was. I put like,
Wow. You're like,
I was like,
Amazon?
hold tight, little doggy. Come on, we gotta go to work.
Let's go, team.
Tracy
That's
sleeps
so
in this
funny.
like old t-shirt, and we were in the hotel the other day, and I was like, were you attacked by a wolf in your sleep? Because it's so torn. I was like, she definitely had a fight with a wolf.
Oh, funny. It sounds like so comfortable.
Evie's
Yeah.
like, Mom, I can see your boobs through the back of your shirt. That's
Really?
what she said. There's so many.
That's the best thing I've ever heard. Oh, okay. So where do they find this list? Because
So-
that sounds like a good
Or
one.
give us a couple. Okay, hold on. Give us a couple more. Just a couple more.
Okay.
yeah.
So a couple more
Side gigs.
side gigs. Hollowaying junk, cleaning up parking lots. Like there are so
How do you clean up? You just go to someone and say, "I'll clean your parking lot."
well, like an apartment building.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. There are so many different things. Creating nutrition / meal plans for people,
Ooh.
grocery shopping for other people, like anything. There are just so many things. Like, and so I have it separated by like making money through your house, making money through like
Your underwear.
your underwear, companionship. I mean, I have that as like these are
Companionship, like one of those like
Snuggle.
people
like a
who-
hug,
a hug
one.
person.
Yeah.
Okay.
Caregiving.
That's the last thing a mom wants is like someone else fucking holding on
I
to
know.
them.
It's like get off me. Let me see some different things. Pet sitting, obviously. Transporting kids to their after school activities. It's like, well, I'm already doing that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, which is why it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, and I mean, it's really just all about like all these different ways to think about like how can I use the time I have in a way that doesn't feel so draining, and really like maximize what you already have going on.
Right.
No,
and,
I love that.
and I
We had
think
a-
just getting really creative about it too.
And yeah, I mean, because we had that great question on our Facebook group, on our Band of Mothers Facebook group. Someone said, I haven't been working, and I'm just feeling so guilty that I'm not contributing to my family. And it just
Mhm.
really resonated because that is such a burden.
Yeah.
Even if you're on equal playing field, I think as if you worked before or you just feel, and it's sad. I mean, you work so hard to be a stay-at-home mom, and
Mhm.
it's a thankless job in many
Mhm.
ways. But even if you're just selling a pair of underwear a month, you feel
That's
like
a
you're
huge
putting-
market.
at least you're paying for one Starbucks, apparently.
No,
and
the
just
reason I
people
had
who,
that-
who can like sell things on eBay.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if I just really committed, I feel like there's so many things I could sell in
Oh,
this
yeah.
house to like contribute. I mean, I don't have the time
Yeah,
Yeah.
well,
with our
that's
work.
Well,
but
and
if
then,
if I didn't have,
There you go. There's
A
a side
full-time
gig
job.
for somebody.
Yeah.
It's like some random person come in here, take pictures of all the stuff I want to sell. I mean, there are so many ways to make money if you just like think about it. And like this list is so helpful, obviously, like as far as like just getting those ideas.
Mhm.
yeah.
Go-
And just
Going-
realizing you can just
Yeah.
tell someone, hey, I'll do that for you. It's just going to cost you
Yeah.
X. But if someone needs you to do it, they'll pay for it.
Oh yeah. There's so much that can be done. So I mean, I feel like just empowering, just like feeling like, oh my gosh, yeah, I really can do something and bring it in, and like, I don't know, it's just about like flipping that mindset. And I feel like I have to say with all of this stuff, you have to want to do it. There are
Sure.
so many people that need to get out of debt, but if you don't want to, it's like, don't
There's
do
no
it.
point.
You can literally keep doing what you're doing, and that's your deal. That's fine until it's not fine
Right.
anymore, and
Yeah.
then we'll be here for you.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's really a big distinction. You have to want it.
Right. Which is true with any change
Yeah.
in your
Yeah,
life, right? You
exactly.
kind of, I read some Instagram post yesterday that Elizabeth Gilbert, I think,
Yeah.
said, that you just, big change comes when you finally get sick of your own bullshit.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I saw
Yeah,
that too.
that's really good.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so true.
Yeah.
And then, so what are you saying? Okay, so you go through the spending fast,
Mhm.
kind of just, and then are we cutting up our credit cards after that, or what's the deal?
You can if you want. So like I don't recommend closing them. That's a whole other controversial thing that everyone has an opinion about. But I personally just put them in a safe deposit box. I didn't touch them. And just got them out of my sight so that they weren't tempting me.
Mhm.
Some people need to close them because they keep spending on them. And so they might get a hit on their credit, but if they're not going to rack up debt, then it's worth it. But yeah, so cut them up if you need to, or put them out of sight. I know some people like put them in an ice block. I've heard that before.
Next to my vodka.
Sounds about right.
Credit card and ice.
I
And
just
vodka.
grab this vodka. Oh, there's
Oh,
my
there
credit
you are.
card.
Fast defrost. Oh, and then also I just thought of this tip with the Amazon is to remove all of your credit card info that's stored.
Oh, so it's like a pain in the butt
yeah,
to
so
actually
you're like
buy anything.
"Ugh."
Oh, that would keep me from buying
That's
anything.
brilliant.
That's really
Yeah.
smart.
Yeah, and then you're just like, this is
Just make your life kind of
Never.
painful.
I mean, I
yeah,
get mad.
seriously.
Like, I even got mad in DC when I was trying to ship my eye mask to myself
because
because
it didn't have the address.
Yeah, well, no, because when you have you're in a new location or whatever,
Oh,
they
yeah.
double verify, and I was like,
Ugh.
ugh,
Yeah,
God.
come on, Amazon, you know what my credit card number is.
I am a loyal customer.
yeah.
Oh my gosh, this is awesome. All right,
Yeah.
so check out Anna at thenwesaved.com,
Yep.
where you can find this list
Yep.
and information about her book and about her online boot camp.
Yeah.
And we're so lucky to have found
Yes,
you. Thanks
thank
for
you
joining
having me.
us today.
Thanks. That was fun.
We are on tour.
We're on tour.
We got a tour
We're on
update.
tour.
Tour update.
Update.
So we've been home for a couple weeks. That's been nice.
We're about to not be for
I know.
several weeks.
Hence why I was like furiously cleaning my house all weekend.
Yeah.
like, trying to get back on track. But we're headed back to Salem, Oregon for realsies, and then Modesto, California.
Yeah, Salem and Modesto, and then the week after, Dallas, San Antonio, and Orville, California, to the casino.
To the casino. Don't really those three don't really go together. But
And
that's
then
what we're doing.
right after that is the big Mother's Day show.
Yeah, Denver, our 7th annual Mother's Day Eve show and dance party at the Paramount.
Oh my gosh.
So excited.
And this year, every year we always try to make that show like some sort of, we're always kind of like, to be a little behind the scenes of the Pump and Dump show. We're always like, let's try this and this and this and this for Mother's Day. And let's add a full band and let's try this new game and let's do this and this. We are so proud of the new show. And we have not been performing it in Denver since we created it. So we are just bringing home the
Our-
Parentally Incorrect tour
with the side of Sarah O jewelry. Give
with
it
the
away.
side with the
We'll
side of
always
the
give
amazing
something
Sarah
special.
O.
Yeah, so we're still going to give away gorgeous hundreds of dollars of
Thousands
beautiful
of dollars.
jewelry
Ugh.
to moms, and that'll be super fun. And then of course the dance party,
Yes.
your favorite day of the year.
Yeah, there. I don't talk to anyone after the show, and I just run
She's
upstairs
like-
and start dancing.
She's like, we gotta go dance. Like,
I mean,
you're
I'm like,
real-
no one talk to me. I have
I
an
know.
hour and a half to dance.
I know we do. We get down.
We sweat a lot.
So-
too. It's so sweaty,
so sweaty.
but it's so worth
So
it.
happy.
Oh my gosh! So once a year, guys,
Yeah.
Mother's Day Eve show, and you will see this show. If you're here in Denver, you will see this show that we created with Kristen Goodman, our
Mhm.
director, this past fall. And we're super proud of it and excited for you to get to see what we've been doing.
We'll see you guys next week.